If you grow up without a dad, you know for sure that you can get stuck in your past and anchored to trauma, hurt, and pain, woundedness, and brokenness. But I have a story for you today I want you to hear about a man who overcame and is today living and doing something in his life and with his life far bigger than he ever dreamed. This is Barry with FatherSeekers, and this is the podcast Teaching the Father. Tyler, JG, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
You looking good, man. I'll tell you, I've been watching like your work where you are, and I'm not going to break that, but man, what great work you do. It's so good. And I'll tell you, not many people can do what you do. I'm going to be honest with you. And for guys like you, I say that you are doing the work right at the crossroads of culture where I believe Jesus was crucified. Not on your campus. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying where you have chosen to work and do what you do, it is for sure the crossroads to culture. And man, are you killing it? Tell us where you are, where your work is, and what you do there.
Yeah, I'm here in Monroe, Louisiana, in the northeast quadrant of the state, here working at University of Louisiana, Monroe, the Warhawks, and I work with Chi Alpha Campus Ministries. And so I work as a full-time Chi Alpha missionary on campus. Man, we just really believe the mission field right here on campus is where young people are. They're being discipled by the world and culture, or they can be discipled into faith and to follow Jesus for a lifetime. And so that's why we're here, because there's not many lining up to do that here for these students. And that's what we do.
That's good. How many students are on campus there with you?
We got about 8,000.
Good gosh. 8,000 kids, students, young people, Gen Zs, holy cow, all in one place. How many profs and administration people are there? That's a city, bro.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Actually, the stat is changing on the staff. They're actually downsizing right now. So I think it's a couple hundred or so.
Yeah, still a huge city. Now, tell me what the scope of your work is. I know it's mainly with students, but you do work some with everybody there on the campus, right?
Oh, for sure. Our dream is if we can reach all of campus, from the president down to the janitor and the students in between, that we can really redeem not only the campus, but the city, the region, and the outer parts of the world. We've got students from 18 different countries, 300 international students here, and then all the faculty and staff from different places. So on a regular basis, we're on the campus, we're present, we're reaching out to students, creating the space for conversation, for prayer, for really just challenging the student that we come across to look at truth and to discover truth for what it is, and really just open up the questions, of your purpose. What are you made for? What are you looking at? Why do you do the things you do? And what's your purpose for being here on the college campus? And so really we just open it up and we get into these small group Bible studies. We get into a weekly service. We get into times where we're just serving on campus, whether it's a meal or collaborating on a project. We really integrate ourselves into the campus and let people know we're here for them.
So we're going to come back to what you do a little bit more in a minute, but let's talk about your story, because we've talked before online as well. In your story, actually, dude, holy cow. I just want you to tell your story. I don't even want to mess it up. So tell me where you grew up and a little bit about your folks, your sibs, your family.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, born and raised in Houston, Texas, a little town southeast of there called LaPorte. Basically, my mom and dad were a little bit of a thing. Met up, had a good time one night, and then I came 9 months later. But it was one of those things that my mom was 19 a month after she had me. They both were young and ambitious. But it was one of those things where, young parents not really sure what they got themselves into. And so my dad really wasn't really around the picture when I was younger. They weren't together at that time and didn't have any intentions of doing that. And so was with my mom and really lived with my Nana, my mom's mom, raised me quite a bit when I was younger. With my mom being a 19-year-old. Yeah. Yeah. It was great for me, but it was difficult for my mom being so young and trying to figure out life and not sure what that was about. So I would say up till I was 10 years old, all those years, it was mom looking for love, going from boyfriend to relationship to a fiance, and never really panning out. And so I moved quite a bit and just never really knew where I belonged and just wasn't sure about that. And then eventually, about that time when I was 10, my mom just had a breakdown. And it was just me and my mom, no siblings at that point. And she had a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown, really one of the worst I've still seen to this day, and just wasn't able to take care of me. So tried to live with her sister, my aunt, just to try to alleviate some of the burden of raising me. And unfortunately, that never took. My mom went further down, spiraling down. It was alcohol, then drugs. And from age 10 upwards till I left high school, that was just a constant journey and experience of trying to figure out where my mom was and what she was doing, all the while being raised by my aunt and uncle with their 3 boys. And so they're cousins, but they're really like my brothers, even to this day. And in my senior year of high school, before I get out and go to college, my mom actually had my baby half sister, and my aunt and uncle actually ended up adopting her long term. And so just incredible story of family and adoption and just making it work. So then I graduate, move on, go to Louisiana to go to school. I'm a power lifter. I'm trying to start over, trying to start fresh. I didn't grow up in church, just had family, just try to figure things out. And it was a journey for sure of doing that growing up. I was looking to start over for sure when I left high school.
So let me back up some, make sure, because you have just dropped a lot of history there. So you have never really known your dad.
Truth be told, I should clarify that my dad I actually sought out my dad when I was about a teenager. I just was becoming a teenager. I actually sought him out and found him, and he just wasn't around, different state, all kinds of things. I actually had his dad, my pawpaw, in my town, so there was a connection there, but it just wasn't solid. And so I was 13 when I met my dad. He had actually got out of prison, had done a little time, and we actually started a little friendship there when I was 13 years old, just to meet my dad. And I'll never forget, my dad made this statement, and it was the most incredible thing that I didn't even realize at the time, but it was a relief when he said, "Hey, I've missed out on all the good years growing up and raising you, and I can't go back and change that. I can't go back and be the father I wasn't, but I'll always and forever be your best friend, and I'll always be here for you." And to me, that meant a lot, because he wasn't trying to be somebody he wasn't.
That's good. So he now is in your life?
We talk. My dad actually moved to Houston on the other side of town, and so I can call him today. We can talk. And I'm still his only child as well, and so that's been a redemptive journey in its own self.
So you're reconciled a bit with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Let's break into that just a little bit, and let's talk about. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to give you some leading statement, because I get this a lot when I'm coaching guys and mentoring about the forgiveness piece. I think you know where I'm going. So
yeah.
They ask, I'm paraphrasing over several conversations. So does forgiveness mean reconciliation?
No.
Talk about that.
So for me, it's forgiving my dad for what he did and running off. And there's plenty of reasons, and I even understood the reasons he gave. But the fact of the matter was that he had choices to make. And for us, it was, we can start afresh, we can start anew. But there was a lot of trust that was broken. And so for me, it's one of those things where forgiveness isn't earned, but trust is.
That's really good. God, say that again. That's a golden. That's gold. Unpack that a little bit, Pastor.
Yeah, we freely forgive. And obviously, as believers, we've been forgiven much more than we ever can pay. But forgiveness isn't earned, but trust is. And that there's something that has to be dealt with, has to be built upon. The beauty of that is that we can have something good. We can still have something good. And that's what my dad, in a way, was trying to get across to me and say that, listen, I may never be the father that you wanted, but we can have something good here in a relationship, in a friendship, and as a father and a son would have. And it really made me think that there's a lot of times people will say things, and family's hard because you're connected, but friendship's the only relationship that's purely choice. And that's what my dad was willing to say. He was willing to say, I am choosing you right now, whether you choose me or not. And that's our story of faith, that we've been chosen.
It sounds like for sure sounds like that he has had some sort of encounter with the Lord to bring him around to that, or at least God has softened his heart.
Oh, for sure. For sure. My dad, he's one of those guys. He wrestles with, he knows what's right, but in a lot of areas and doesn't do right. But in this area, he definitely has softened and has seen what really matters. And he's tried to live that out ever since then with me.
It's good. So we've talked about your family, your step-sibs, your uncle who raised you as a son, and his sons. What kind of interaction do you have with them today?
Yeah, my brothers, if you will. I'm the closest to the oldest one, Patrick. He has his own family. He's just 2 years older than me. He lives over in Dallas. A great man, great family. My uncle still live in Houston. We don't talk on the regular. That's just been all of our experiences really growing up. I just has been that way, hands off in that regard, willing to, but not the initiator. Sorry. And it's something that this just occurred to me. I feel like this is relevant in the father story of my family, is that my mom's dad passed away when I was 1 year old. Just right after I had been born and been raised a year, he had passed away. And then my uncle, who raised me, his dad passed away not long after I started living with him and my aunt, and they started raising me. So I've definitely seen the impact of fathers when they were removed from the family picture. And I think that's played a part in some of our experiences.
That is such a great point, that those dads didn't leave or abandon or weren't abusing substance or vice, but they passed from this world, and that left a father void. I love what you said. You just said the father story of my family. That will be a podcast. Thank you very much. But talk a little bit about the effect of the fatherlessness piece.
Yeah.
In your family, because you had a good uncle, your grandpa helped out for a minute, and then there was a void until lead. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things and I didn't know him, my uncle's dad. I didn't know him that well, but he was a strong man. He's a strong father, strong dad, very well involved with his kids. And what I saw from my angle as a young 10-year-old is that this man had a impact that wasn't truly felt until he wasn't there anymore.
Wow.
And so it was like the father being present in the room, just the ability to know that there's a presence and there's stability, there's a rock, whether you realize you're standing on it or not, it's there until it's gone. And that's how I saw that play out in front of me, where my uncle did struggle when his dad had passed. He's the oldest of his siblings too. So this was like a special relationship of, hey, you're the next in line. And now you just got handed this unexpectedly.
Early.
Too early.
So let's move to the next little spot in the story, because you are dropping nothing but nuggets today. I guess you have to be on a college campus. I've got 3 young guys, that Gen Z guys, who had advised me on stuff with FatherSeekers. And they say you have to talk in hooks or nuggets. You have to be dropping something all the time or we're not going to listen to you. Good, point taken. Pressure, you little punks. But nonetheless, you are dropping some great stuff. So you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
You're in high school. How in the world did you get into heavy lifting?
Yeah, I threw myself at sport around my teenage years, and honestly, I wanted the discipline, I wanted the correction, I wanted to be coached, I wanted the hands-on approach, and I wanted to prove myself. The backstory of my life at that point was my mom and dad have me, but they don't raise me. They don't necessarily want me in a weird way. And then my Nana can only take care of me so much. So then I go to my aunt and uncle, and it's great. They're doing the best they can. But I just, in a way, I felt orphaned in that time. And so, man, I didn't want to give another reason to be passed on. And so I threw myself at athletics, threw myself at academics, everything I could do. And truthfully, the weights really just, that bug bit the hardest. And I just found the discipline. It was the thing that made you the athlete. It was the thing that I was good at. I was the strong kid in my school. So it's something that I could claim as my own, and I was proud of.
Good story. Now, go to transitioning from high school.
Yeah.
Tell me the story about how you met your wife and how you guys moved from acquaintances to husband and wife. I'm sure this is going to be a good story.
Yeah. So this is so good. So I had a high school coach from Louisiana, Carl Terrebonne, played receiver for Louisiana Tech back in the 80s. He said, man, at Louisiana Tech, they've got the best powerlifting team in the nation. And so I took him up on it, and I looked him up. I went there and visited, and I said, yep, this is where I'm going to go. Small school, social campus, beautiful. It's far enough away from home that it gives me some separation. And I was ready to start over, and I thought, this is it. This is my golden ticket. Only school I applied to, only school I looked at. I went all in. And so then I go to Louisiana Tech. I don't know one soul on the campus there. I'm like the Lone Ranger trying to find somebody. And so sure enough, in those first few weeks, I just look around and people are there. I'm the only one in my family. My brother had attempted to go to college to play golf, but wasn't really involved. And so I'm the first one that's ever really had this kind of experience, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Lo and behold, these guys come knock on my door. I'm in a dorm of 700 something guys on the 7th floor. And these guys knock on my door, and they invited me to some kind of guys group downstairs in the lobby. And I remember telling them, said, hey man, I've heard you've been knocking on all these doors, and look, I appreciate the offer, but I'm studying for my first test in college. It was a psychology test, which I hated. And I said, look, there's my textbook. I've been studying. I said, appreciate it. No thanks. And about 10 minutes later, I just thought to myself, what am I doing? Shut the book, go downstairs, meet these guys. Turns out they're Chi Alpha. I didn't know what that was, but I met some of my best friends, and I'm in another class. This girl's atheist. Well, I had just become a believer. These guys discipled me to Jesus. And all of a sudden now my world's flipped upside down. I'm still lifting weights. I'm there reaching the team. Got a girl in my class who's an atheist now. And she says, I would believe in God if he could be proven to me, or there was a sign. And I had been praying for a summer job. I didn't want to go home. She puts in a recommendation to the camp director for a summer camp called Med Camps Louisiana, a camp for kids with disabilities, for me to be a counselor there. And she had no idea. I've been praying, Lord, give me something. I don't want to go home. I want to stay here. And I told her, I said, Megan, here's your sign. You literally answered the prayer that I've been praying for a job in the summer. I get interviewed, get the job, go to this camp. And lo and behold, that's where I met my wife, who had done the same thing, had been saying a prayer for what her future was going to be. And that's where I met my wife, Bethany. Man, we met. We couldn't stand each other. She thought I was a 19-year-old punk. I thought she was a 21-year-old snob. We didn't like each other. We just knew we were going to have to put up with each other over 10 weeks. And we got to know each other. We got to know the real side of each other at working this summer camp, working with kids, doing our best. And you can't hide anything really when you're out there sweating to death, 100-degree weather in Louisiana, heat, and pushing kids around in wheelchairs up and down hills. And I saw her and started pursuing her. And in that summer of 2008, I started dating her, got married 3 years later, right after I graduated college. And then we went full time into Chi Alpha ministry right after our honeymoon.
So straight out of college, you went into Chi Alpha. Oddly enough, it was Chi Alpha who knocked on your door. Tell me what turned in your heart. Like there's a clear pathway in your life where God has been doing things.
Yeah.
And there's this door knock, and it seems that you on a course to actually do something bigger than you were, bigger than yourself,
100%,
larger than life, and actually, and we'll get to that in a minute, but you deal with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Similar to your story. So you and Bethany get married, straight into Chi Alpha. That in itself is an incredible journey. Break down again, because Chi Alpha is an assembly of God. It's still, and you work through the National Austin District. You're actually, you and Bethany and your kids, you guys are actually missionaries to the campus.
Yes.
And if you guys want to donate to the work that Tyler and Bethany do, there will be a link in the bottom of the bio. You can click right on it. The money goes straight to them. It doesn't stickers, and it goes into their accountability circle, and then it's dispensed. So you're in ministry.
Yeah.
You're in Alpha. What was the first campus you and Bethany ended up on?
Well, it's interesting. We knew after wrestling with God for a while, we knew that we were called to ministry. So what we did was I graduated, got married a week later, and then 2 weeks later, we were in Springfield, Missouri at the national headquarters getting trained in campus ministry. And so what we did was we stayed at Louisiana Tech, our alma mater, for 1 year to serve as full-time staff, and the only staff. There was a transition, and we were actually the only staff outside of the new director. So we had a School of Hard Knocks 101 campus ministry training that first year. Then we went to University of Louisiana at Lafayette to work with Eric Truel as official interns. And then we came here in 2013 to University of Louisiana Monroe to re-pioneer the ministry of Chi Alpha here on campus.
Gracious. And you've been there at West Monroe for how many years now?
Yeah, so this is our 13th year here in Monroe.
Years in one spot. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of kids you've touched. That's a lot. So the work that you do is incredibly influential, impacting, and it's invasive on the hearts and lives and the difficult times that young people who come to your campus have experienced.
Yes.
Talk about that part of it a minute, about some of the difficulties that college students are facing today when they come from a home messed up.
Yeah.
To campus, and all about that transition piece that they have.
Yeah. And this will be helpful too. I'll go to a little bit of that moment for me when I was a student, because it definitely parallels with what students today are going through. For me, I was at a place my freshman year where I didn't understand, why did I even exist? I was passed around people that I trusted, people that I thought would never hurt me the most. And I really didn't understand what my purpose was. And I didn't understand my own mother, choices she made and what she was trying to live for. And I got to a point in my freshman year early on when these guys were discipling me and letting me work through some of the pain, was that my mom needed a savior just like I did. The problem was she was trying to be her own.
Wow.
She kept getting it wrong over and over again. It was never good enough for her or the people she loved. And for me, it was one of those moments where all growing up, my mom's sin and the things she did were just out for everybody to see. It was obvious: alcoholism, drugs, mischief, everything. It was understood. But what wasn't understood for me was all the darkness that I just kept bottled up inside, all my thoughts, all my feelings, all the things I struggled with, the tears that ran down my face almost every night, just trying to be the best I could, not only sleeping 4 hours a night, doing work and all kinds of things. All for me and my mom, the same reasons, just in different ways. And it was that freshman year that I realized that we were the same.
Wow.
And and the difference was, I had a moment, an invitation from the good Father that had a plan and purpose for my life from day one. I just hadn't stepped up and seen that and embraced that and accepted the love of the Father and the plan and purpose that he had for me. My mom, just like me, needed that love of the Father for the plan and purpose for her life, just like my life, except I had received it at this time. And so for me, there was no turning back. And I literally felt a weight come off of me immediately. And I accepted Jesus, Lord of my life. And students today have the same, if not more, I believe, weight on them today. They are overburdened by culture, society, life. There's a lot of things that people will say and make generalizations and statements about the young generation today, but the reality is they are dealing with a world and a constant touch to that world more than anybody has ever done in the history of mankind. And so for us today, a lot of the work is just providing the grace and space to be still, to stop, to just listen, to think, and to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to know that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to just confront what's going on and to be heard. You know, one of the things that they say, and science has proven this, that to be listened to be heard, and to be loved are so close of an experience that the human brain can't tell the difference between the two. And so you're talking about a generation that just wants to be heard, not so they can say the right thing at the right time to the right person, so they can say, listen, I have problems. I'm going through some stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing. Versus they have a lot of talent, a lot of ability, but you know what? They don't have a soul.
It's really good, Tyler. That's really good. I want you to connect two dots. I want to connect two dots where your words were I believe you said the absence in our father's story weren't there. And then you grew through this, you grew to this point where you were able to realize that your mom needed God where she was. And here's why I'm asking you this. I've come to realize, not only in my own life, but in most guys who grew up without a dad, that their big issue is it is being fatherless. Yes. But they all got mama issues. Were raised by a mom. Whatever her issues were, they were imposed upon the children of that house. Talk about how that transition works and how you dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You could actually do a study on scripture about the direction to the moms as well, that they have a responsibility to let the sons go and let the sons grow up and live their adventurous life. And just be honest, that's the position that a lot of our family was in, that there's women had to become very strong in my family, and in a way almost, I think, guarded and defensive in a ways that inhibited some of our ability to, as young men, to grow up in the ways that we really could have and that God designed us to be. And so for me, having that moment, for me, it was earth shattering for me to think about, okay, my own mother, she was lacking in her own way with the father, but I wondered, even looking back, if it was her needing that in the man she was trying to find for her and for me. But it never worked out. That the pursuit wasn't pure, and she was just grabbing for something. And so
that is so true. That is so accurate. And I think, as I look back, my mom was married 3 times and tried to do exactly what you just said, to provide a home. My mom's second husband had 2 teenage girls that lived with us. So it was me, my 3 sisters, of which I was the oldest, and then 2 other teenagers in the house. So there were 6 junior high and high school kids in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath trailer. Weirdo, right? I want to land the plane on this. If you could say anything right now to fathers and to mothers, what would that be?
I would say that for some reason the words of even True and Kathy are coming to my mind here about your kids are your first and foremost ministry and opportunity you have to make a difference in this world. Make sure you are the number one participant in their life, encourager in their life, and person that is going to be present in their life. And at the end of the day, all that comes together is understand that you're your mom and dad, but you be the friend to your children, just like they see in Scripture when Jesus talks about his disciples, that he not calls them servants, but he calls them friends because he's raised them, and you have that same opportunity for your kids.
That is golden, my friend. All that is so good. Thank you. Thank you for being here and telling your story.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you who are listening, again, I will put Tyler's contact information in the show notes, and you can email him, especially if you're a Chi Alpha age person. But this ministry, this thing that he does on a college campus in West Monroe, Louisiana, it is an incredible ministry, incredible, and it costs lots of money to do what they do. As I remember being involved in it years ago, they fund most everything. Chi Alpha funds most everything for students, to the students, because it's about students. So if you want a really great 501c3 tax-free giving ministry to give to, the link is in the bottom. And for those of you who are listening, if you're Gen Z or millennial or whoever, go to fatherseekers.org. Content, there are podcasts, many of them. There's a YouTube channel. There are 300 videos plus on there that you can get and glean from. They are all free. Everything is free. Everything is complimentary to the people that follow us. This is Barry Edgman with FatherSeekers, and this is a podcast, Teach Me to Father.